For millennia, mankind has wondered, what is the best video game ever made? I, Thomas M.C.Namee, have decided to find out. This is the Crusade for the best video game ever made. Hi guys, I'm your host, M.C.Namee, and welcome to the first episode of the Crusade for the best video game ever made. Today we're going to be reviewing Super Mario World, which was first released in Japan on the Super Famicom in 1990 on November 21st. So without further ado, let's jump right into the review. The style of Super Mario World looks pretty nice. The graphics have aged very nicely. Honestly, I don't think increased horsepower would have made the art direction they were going for look any better. One thing I like is how the art isn't so overwhelming or cluttered that I can't tell what's going on. I can tell what's friend and what's foe with utter ease. You know, I like how the world looks, I like how the enemies look, I like how Mario looks. It just looks good. And that's simply because of the 16-bit graphics. 16-bit graphics have a charm you don't have in games anymore. And that's simply because we don't make games in 16-bit graphics anymore. It's a good looking game. What's nice about this Mario over past Marios is that the music actually sounds like real instruments, as opposed to a bunch of beeps just thrown to a melody. This technological improvement isn't put to waste. You get nice cheery music in cheery places. You get music that sounds cave-like in caves, spooky music that makes me feel like I need to get out of there fast. You even get some gnarly beats you want to jam to. One detail that shows Nintendo's dedication to sound effects is when you're jumping in a cave. Here, listen. Now that's some quality sound engineering. Bowser, Kidnapper, Princess Peach, Kidnapped, Mario, Unkidnapper, Story Machine broke. Now this is what Mario is about. Gameplay. Mario is a game about jumping over stuff, on stuff, into stuff. It's amazing to me that each level feels different from each other, and it's able to have such variety in its platforming mechanics. And it's not just quantity over quality. They all work and are simple enough to grasp quickly, but hard to master. Now sometimes the platforming itself is fun, but usually the fun comes from the challenge, because some of these levels are pretty damn hard. To overcome them, you're going to need muscle memory, brain memory, and skill. If you want this, you're going to need to die a lot. But that's just what makes victory a lot more satisfying. Now let's look at the gameplay flaws here. The live system is freaking stupid. Now lives are easy to get, however they require backtracking to previous levels that you remember having a lot of lives in them. Now this is easy, but it's tedious, and tedious isn't fun. I guarantee you the game would be much better without it. Another stupid thing is how saves work. The game does not save after every level. It saves in most cases only after completing ghost houses and castles. This, in my experience, was obnoxious, because in many cases I had made it through a few really tricky levels and was at one of the castle levels. I had tried many times to get through and simply couldn't. So I think, well, that's enough for today. I need some rest so I can feel refreshed and try again tomorrow. Unfortunately, I can't, because if I turn off the system, I'll be back at the last checkpoint and have to play through the tricky levels over again. This forces me to go through the discomfort of playing when I feel I've had enough. Experiences like this made me feel absolutely against playing more than one stage a day. This game would have been far better if it saved after every level. So how do I rank Super Mario World? Well, I like the graphics, and I like the music, as well as the sound effects. The story itself didn't really matter because it's not a story-based game. The gameplay itself was quite sound. However, this game had a few issues preventing it from achieving its full potential. Those being the live system and the save system. Overall, it gets a 4 out of 5 from me. Now, how does it rank in my top games of all time list? Well, by default, it is number 1 simply because it's the only game I've reviewed in this series. So it is the best game of all time. By default, of course. Next episode, I will be reviewing F-Zero. Will it steal Super Mario World's place as the greatest game of all time? Tune in next week on The Crusade for the best video game ever made!